Venezuela has formally called on the United Nations Security Council to declare the recent U.S. strikes off its coast illegal, sending a letter to the 15-member council demanding an investigation and a statement reaffirming Venezuela's sovereignty. According to the letter, signed by Venezuela's UN ambassador Samuel Moncada, the attacks on vessels in international waters have resulted in at least 27 deaths, targeting what Caracas describes as civilian ships, without justification. Moncada urged the Security Council to determine the illegal nature of these operations and to reaffirm the principle of unrestricted respect for the sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of states, highlighting Venezuela as a victim of foreign aggression.
Yesterday, on October 14, 2025, the government of the United States of America carried out a new set of extrajudicial executions against civilians who were aboard a small stationary boat in the Caribbean Sea, just a few miles off the coast of Venezuela. Recent reports of public domain have identified two humble fishermen from the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago among the victims. Their relatives indicate that those who were assassinated were engaged in fishing activities at the time. This act is yet another chapter in the escalation of the U.S. strikes carried out since September to date against civilian vessels transiting international waters in the Caribbean Sea, which have so far resulted in 5 lethal attacks and 27 deaths.
In light of all of the above, what do we ask of the Security Council? First, that it investigates the series of murders that the government of the United States of America has been perpetrating in our region and determines their illegal nature. Second, to confirm the threat that these illicit actions pose to the preservation of peace in Latin America and the Caribbean. These include extrajudicial executions, the concentration of military forces, the bellicose rhetoric against Venezuela, and the clandestine operations of the CIA to commit political murders. And then, finally, thirdly, to issue a statement reaffirming the principle of unrestricted respect for the sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of Venezuela as an indispensable basis for preserving peace.
Meanwhile, President Nicolas Maduro, speaking in Caracas, accused the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency of being explicitly authorized to conduct operations aimed at destabilizing and undermining Venezuela, stating that no previous government had publicly ordered the CIA to kill, overthrow, and destroy countries, and insisted that the Venezuelan people remain united and capable of defending their nation against these threats.
No al cambio de régimen que nos recuerda tanto a los
No to regime change, which reminds us so much of the endless, failed wars in Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and so on. No to CIA-orchestrated coups d'état, which recall the 30,000 disappeared in the CIA-backed coups against Argentina, the Pinochet's coup, and the 5,000 young people who were killed or disappeared. Until when CIA coups. Latin America doesn't want them, doesn't need them, and rejects them. So peace must be must be preserved. Listen to me, not war, yes peace, the people United States, from the people Bolivarian Republic. The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela rejects the warmongering and extravagant statements of the President of the United States, in which he publicly admits to having authorized operations to act against the peace and stability of Venezuela. This unprecedented assertion constitutes a grave violation of international law and the Charter of the United Nations, and compels the community of nations to denounce these patently immoderate and inconceivable claims. We view with extreme alarm the use of the CIA, as well as the military deployments announced in the Caribbean, which amount to a policy of aggression, threat, and harassment against Venezuela. It is evident that such maneuvers seek to legitimize a regime change operation with the ultimate aim of seizing Venezuela's oil resources. Likewise, the statements by the U.S. President aim to stigmatize Venezuelan and Latin American migration, fueling xenophobic and dangerous discourse. At the extraordinary meeting of CELAC foreign ministers, convened by Colombia's pro-tempore presidency, Venezuela formally presented this complaint and demanded an immediate regional response. Tomorrow, our permanent mission to the United Nations will bring this complaint before the Security Council and the Secretary General, demanding accountability from the government of the United States and the adoption of urgent measures to prevent a military escalation in the Caribbean, a zone declared a zone of peace by CELAC in 2014. The international community must understand that impunity for these acts will have dangerous political consequences that must be stopped immediately.
However, analysts say the Security Council's ability to act is limited because the United States, which holds veto power, has justified its strikes under Article 51 of the UN Charter, citing self-defense against armed attacks and promising to use its intelligence agencies, the Defense Department, and diplomacy to protect U.S. citizens. As the situation unfolds, Venezuela's appeal highlights the rising tensions between Washington and Caracas and underscores the limits of international mechanisms when a permanent Security Council member is directly involved in the dispute. For more updates on this story and other global developments, don't forget to subscribe to the Indian Express.